Welcome to your town. My name is Stanley Mickelson, Select Board member in the town of Dartmouth. I'm pleased to have my first guest for 2016 of your town, Mr. David Tatelbaum, Chairman of the Finance Committee of the town of Dartmouth. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate the invitation. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you are here. So, I would imagine there are an awful lot of folks in town that really are not quite sure what the Finance Committee does. I'm sure they have some kind of idea, but the intricacies of what they do, the meetings that they might have, and their responsibilities to the town. But I'd like to go back a little, and I'd like you to would like to progress in your life personally before you got into this, before the days when I was your basketball coach.
Those are sad days. I've lived in Dartmouth for all but 4 years of my life since high school. 4 years in Boston. I went to school there and came back, and I really enjoy living here. It's a great spot to live, and I've been in the retail business many years, way too long, but it's in my blood. My father passed it down to me. I'm glad to do it. The big value store is on Dartmouth Street, and my wife and I, Jan, operate the store, and we absolutely love the town, and I enjoy and have a sense of fulfilled responsibility that I can do some work for the town and help out, because it's a great feeling to give back to the town. I've been on finance for a number of years. Started off as a member, and then the co-chair, and I've been the chair of the Finance Committee for a few years. I'm not exactly sure how many, not too long. I actually replaced Frank Gracie, who went on to become a Select Board member with you, a colleague of yours. So the Finance Committee its basic role is to be an advisory board. We're not elected, we're appointed. We're appointed by the moderator, and we basically examine all the dollars spent in town. I drive around town a lot, and I look around all the projects, and I know the details because we're basically looking at them all, whether it be the lifeguard stands at Round Hill or a project along Slocum Road. We kind of know what's going on. We've looked at it, and we've advised, and we've voted on it. So we can recommend, we can advise. We don't have a yes or a no vote. We simply offer to town meeting our vote in terms of what we feel about how the money's being spent and whether we agree with it or not. That's our basic role. Beyond that, we have really, over the last few years, we've really extended our role in terms of being a little bit more proactive with especially the larger expenditures in town. Along the police station, we thoroughly reviewed the police station process. We visited the police station, the old one. We looked it over, and we really did a comprehensive evaluation and gave our opinion about it. And what was
that opinion, by the way?
We unanimously voted to support the present vote at coming to town meeting would be to approve the reconstruction of the existing station. We felt it was the location was sensible, the building was doable. We thought very highly of the architect that the committees hired to redo the project. We did visit the old station, and that was pretty unpleasant. We were the place was a wreck, and it was actually kind of sad to think that only a short time, a year, maybe 8, 10, 12 years ago, the project was done, and we had to go through it again. But we breathed a sigh of frustration, and then we decided to move on. The committee, we all made it clear and voted that it wasn't that we had to move on and repair the damage. And our vote was unanimous in the sense that we thought the plan was excellent. We too voiced our opinion about the fancy facade, and that was redone. So, yeah. But overall, we did I thought was a really thorough examination of that project.
And the numbers were good.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really, they weren't overwhelming.
The time may come to do something bigger and better, not in our lifetimes,
No.
but and I think somewhere down the road, we need to serve the north part of town with some kind of facility, maybe a satellite office, but that'll be determined down the road.
Yeah.
I also, at this point, I want to, we have a great team of people on our committee, a very diverse mix of people, of experience, of attitudes, conservative, as well as a little more liberal, a real cross-section. And we really have thorough discussions. I'm really, it's a real pleasure to deal with the people we have. People have had a lot of service to the town. Others are new to the town. And I think that's really, really important. We don't have to agree on anything. I think it's best that we have people who have differing opinions.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I congratulate yourself and your 7 other board members. I believe there's 8 board members.
Yeah.
Correct. That are appointed, as you said, and give an awful lot of time and effort and sensible in their discussions. And I'm overwhelmed and appreciative of the Finance Committee of supporting the vote in April next month.
Yep.
For the voters to make a decision whether we move forward with these with the remodel of the station, or just stay in limbo, which I don't think we should do that. But
I would say, I'd like to add that I think the last town meeting, with the discussion we had, people were thoroughly engaged in the process of town meeting. And I was really impressed by people's preparation. And I think that everyone really invested themselves in the process of the police station.
I believe it was unanimous.
Correct.
Unanimous. I didn't see one person that put their hand up against it.
Yep. And I think it's because everyone did their job, due diligence. First blush, why put it in that section of town? It's near a flood zone, or why stay with that building? But when you really thoroughly look into the detail and you look at the expenditure and what the alternatives would have been, I think that you looked at, and people did that, and I think that it was really, I think it was one of the best and most proactive town meetings that I've been in a long time.
Yes,
Because people were
I agree.
prepared.
Yep.
And it was, I thought the outcome was good, and I think that's the way town meetings should be.
Exactly.
I might add about town meeting that I think that there was a move over the last few years that maybe we've outgrown town meeting process and need to be some radical changes. My feeling is that, that the radical change is not necessary. People don't really want it, but we can move to it as the town gets bigger. But the process of that police station vetted through, I think, is still an indication that our residents are fully in favor of existing how we are at this point in time. And whether it happens down the road is a different thing. So I thought it was great and productive, and I think the town's going to be much well off by hopefully, a strong vote in favor of the police station.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
And also, I might add that, I'm sure you'll concur with me, that the debt exclusion on the high school is almost coming to an end. And that doesn't mean that necessarily every time we get rid of one debt exclusion, we need to do something else. And that's not what I'm pushing for. But it is financially for the folks at home, the residents that own property and pay taxes, that it will be a $40 a year, average $40 a year on your home.
Yep.
And progressively go down as the debt goes down naturally.
Very reasonable.
More than reasonable
Yep.
of a project of that size. Again, I want to thank the Finance Committee for their blessings.
Thank
too.
you. But I also think that we ought to commend the police department for existing through what was a very difficult process.
Horrible.
And they've done a great job. The town's been well protected. Acting Chief Zayler's done a fantastic job of rallying the troops to make sure that because we went through the facility, we went through the existing facility where they are in the back, behind in the trailer, if you will. And through it all, they just did their job. And I think it's a real pleasure to work with them as well, because they invested their time in trying to find the best solution as well.
In a most uncomfortable situation. Not many of us could work in that environment at all through a winter of that. I must say was.
And by the way, in the whole process, I'm also extremely positive that we will be able to reuse the mobile facility we put together for the police in some form down the road. So
Yeah.
that investment
Yeah.
will go on to the future to be of some value to us, so
Yep.
that we can get some long-range value from that investment too.
Because it was quite an expenditure.
It was.
However, there was no option.
Nope.
There was no option.
No.
So it was the only option.
Yeah.
So moving forward on
Yeah.
that, just one more thing. I just want to remind everybody at home, all the folks, in April, that'll be a question on the ballot, and you do what you think you need to do. So, Dave, FinCom works within themselves, and as you explained.
Yep.
But more importantly, do you collaborate with other boards or other commissions?
The process, and we're knee-deep into it right now, the process starts officially, the official process starts sometime in mid to late January into February, where we actually meet with all the committees, the departments who actually spend money in town. And we, as an example, we met last week with the police department and the library. We have scheduled meetings generally on Thursdays, right through between now and through April. And we'll even meet occasionally twice a week. We work first with Mr. Cressman and Mr. Barnes to go through the basic information. We then schedule the appointments for these boards and committees to come in. And I will add at this point in time that I think that we have two extremely qualified professionals in Mr. Barnes and Mr. Cressman. I think that there's a vision there that I think that really is great for the town, dedicated to the town. They have their opinions, they have their ways of doing things, they have lots of experience, but I find them to be flexible and they listen. And they also know that we're volunteering our time as well, and they really understand and appreciate that as well. So we then meet with these different boards through, and we review their entire budget. We're given all the things they need to spend for on a day-to-day basis for the year, and operating their departments and committees, commissions. And the other interesting part is what they, quote-unquote, a little wish list of what they'd like to have, but pretty much they come to us as recommended by the treasurer and by the finance director, excuse me, and Mr. Cressman in the select board to pretty much come to us with a pretty much a flat operating budget, very comparable to last year. Mm-hmm. Do the best they can with that, but then layer in over and above that what they really need to have, what they'd like to have, and what maybe they could have down the road as a dream, so that we get a real perspective of what's absolutely necessary versus what we need to plan for down the road.
And a wish list.
Absolutely.
Right, right.
And a lot of times the wish list is, that's what it is, it's a wish.
Yeah.
And, but on the other hand, the process is excellent. The capital, CPC, capital planning, also does the same thing with capital projects, and they do the same process, meaning what do we have to do, what should we do, and what maybe we might want to do.
What can we do?
Yeah.
Financially, yeah.
And you know, it wasn't long ago we weren't repairing our roads, and we had to shut off our street lights, and it wasn't that long. And I think that the town has pulled itself together, both with the select board, with its professionals, and we're getting repairs. The repair season's going to start up again soon. The roads will be clogged with construction, but boy, it's a great thing because we're taking care of our infrastructure in a way that makes sense, that we can handle on a year-to-year basis, and do a few wish list things that really...
Yeah. Well, we seem to be more proactive now.
No doubt.
You know, and that's why you see all these roads being done on a yearly basis.
Yep.
They're filling in cracks and things like that, and our director, DPW director, has assured me that that's the reason why they do it. There's an expenditure, yes, but it's a lot less expensive than to have to repair the entire road.
Yep.
And little things like that with good people in management decision-making power positions, like Mr. Barnes, like Mr. Cressman, and all the other people that work as a team for the town.
Yep.
That are town employees, that now this is our second go-around with a triple A bond rating. Not by accident.
Nope.
Not by accident. It doesn't happen very often, and it's not one person. It's the group of people that work within these departments, and they all have one thing in mind: to do the best for the town. And doggone it, it's happening.
Yep.
And we should be very proud, because we're one of very few communities, cities and towns that have a triple bond or a triple A bond rating, including the United States of America. We have a better triple A. We have a better bond rating than they do.
That's not that.
And the state.
That's not how to be better
And
than
the
you.
state. And the state. And many cities and towns that surround us. So,
Interesting little sidebar on. We met with Chief Saylor last week in regarding to the police budget, and one of the things that they've requested is an electronic sign that we put on the side of the road, because there's so much construction being done, and we want to help people get drive their way through town when there's projects going on. The sign will be up and lit to let people know pretty far, off in a distance that there's something going on, and because there's construction everywhere. And I think it's and we'll hopefully even use that sign for other projects around town. But it's a really proactive way to say, okay, we got a lot going on. We're finally doing our job with the roads.
Mm-hmm. It's on Tucker Road as we speak today.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat, because I think although not a large expenditure, but it's an indication of how well people are thinking about how we can do these things, get them done as best and as fast and as quickly as we can, but also be efficient and help people out on the road to keep it safe. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. And the police department does a great job.
Yep.
They really do. We've got good leaders, great staff. And so, Dave,
Yep.
personally yourself, not just as a finance committee chairman or a member of the board of the committee, what do you feel would be some really attainable long-range goals for the town?
I think I always preface these kind of remarks by saying that even though I am chair and I've served a while in the committee, I am only one member. I have one vote out of the group, and I respect the votes of others. But my own perspective is that it's a town that has done a fantastic job, not only in infrastructure and getting its finances together and spending where we should, and also I'm very, very proud of what we've done with our school department over the last 3 or 4 years. We've added over $1 million to the budget each year, because I think it's unfortunate that we are in the lower third expenditure per student in the entire state of Mass, and the Commonwealth, excuse me, and I think that's unfortunate. However, I think the good news is that we do a lot with the money that we have in the school department, and I've always been interested in doing the best we can. We're very proactive with school. We work with them carefully.
I know you feel very strongly about the schools.
I do. And they're a real professional.
My own experience with you as a friend, and,
Yep.
and how much you deeply care for the school department of Dartmouth.
And I think they're real professional. We've already spent a lot of time with our new superintendent, the budget director of schools, Jim Kiley. We've worked with very carefully, and they're open. The budgets. It wasn't long ago that the school budget was, okay, here's your $30 million, and that's what we're spending, and see you later. Thank you. Well, now the budget is completely open. It's on the website. It's in detail. And it took a while for people to get used to even that, the fact it was. And I think it's an indication of how well the team of Dartmouth town government is working together. Mm-hmm. The school department budgets, it's amazing. And they're working very hard to not only use the dollars we have, but also extend it to give the kids as much as we can and much as we can afford. So I hope that we can continue that effort as far as schools are concerned. And I also think that we've done a great job protecting our environment. It's a beautiful town, from the beaches of the south up to the woodlands in the north. We've done a good job. The organizations to protect the environment, we've done a great job. And we've done a great job with things like solar, et cetera. But those kinds of projects are coming to a head. We're kind of running out of room for these projects. We've done an amazing job as a town when it comes to projects, energy saving, the street lights, the solar panels, everything is just fantastic.
We're the leader in the state.
Absolutely. And people also made it clear that they didn't want wind. Fine. So we took a turn.
I agreed with them on.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, it's great.
I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We took a turn, solar. I mean, think of you take a landfill that's capped, it's no use to anybody, and next thing you know, it's facing south, and now you have panels, you have generating cash and power for the town. I mean, what better way to use it?
Make great neighbors.
Absolutely. The mice won't object to the things going up there. Yeah.
Not at all.
So that's all great. Okay, but what do we do now? Because that revenue stream, although strong, it will be maintained. What do we do for new revenue? And I think that, and we have limitations because of protected areas and land all over town, as we should. I couldn't be more in support of that myself. So you look at the corridor along Route 6 in Fons Corner Road, moving down in the west on Route 6 towards Westport. It's already developed, it's there. It doesn't offend anybody by further development because it's already there. We don't have to worry about not in my backyard because the backyard's already there with retail and commercial development. And I think that we have met recently with, you have Stan and I, you're representing the select board, I the finance committee, and we had 2 members from planning and Mr. Cressman, and we, and Deborah Bender, the development. I'm not sure of all the titles. I don't get them all right. I'm probably pretty close. We had a
significant force as far as that's
absolutely.
Concerned. Yep. She does a magnificent job.
Tremendous, tremendous what she's done. And we met as a team to talk about what can we do about that whole area. And I think that I was really happy to see that the planning members, we had the director as well as 1 member there, and we came up with an approach to try to look into what are the possibilities of developing and doing different things up there. They are going to take that back to their committee, and they're going to come up with a plan because that's their job, as to what flexibility we have in that entire area. There's a lot of undeveloped land. There's a lot of private land owned. There's things we can do to either rezone or just change the complexion of the development in that area and do something different. And they're going to go back and work with that through the committee and come back to us and say, here's what we've come up with, because that's what they do. And then we plan to actually approach, with that in our pocket, approach some of the developers, some of the owners of the land, some of the retail people, and say, here's what we think we can do to help develop those lands, to make something more of what it is, and end up with something that would be beneficial to town, raise some funds for the town, but not be offensive in terms of development, because it's already in that area. And we think that there's, as we said, a lot of low-hanging fruit in that area because it can be redone, and I think it's really exciting. And we had a really fine group.
It's untapped at this point for other than what it is.
Sure.
And by this report that we just got in about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. The spread report.
Yes.
Yep.
I must say it was
Serped, excuse me.
Yeah, Serped, and you know another thing that they do for the town, Serped. I welcome
Fantastic.
all of the things that they help us with. You know, and no charge to the town.
Yep.
Valuable information. Supporting what's there now, no question about it, because it's one of the most successful areas of its kind anywhere around here. The dollar value that it brings to the town as far as revenue.
Yep.
But there's so much, as you said, and we are talking about that the properties can be used. We just need to think outside the box. We need to, most likely, in most cases, this is my suggestion only, that we need to seriously look at rezoning. Look at the blacktop. I think we've all gone up to the mall, any parts of the mall, and seen blacktop not utilized, even during Christmas time. So much blacktop, no reason for it to be there and just sit there, just to plow in the wintertime. That's valuable land. It could be student housing. It could be a senior housing. It could be a number of things. But that's for the planning board to do. There's
Yeah.
no question about it.
Well,
Yep.
we had this, we've added that in this entire subject.
Yep.
The land, really, we're talking about pretty much from Fons Corner on Route 6 all the way west. There's some undeveloped land owned by there. There's rezoning to be done. And I'm really anxiously waiting for the return back from planning as to what they think they could do based
Well,
on.
excuse me, because we did it in Bliss Corner. We rezoned Bliss Corner.
Yeah,
We
it's
rezoned Hayden
fantastic.
Aram.
Absolutely.
And both
What a
areas
job.
are successful.
Fantastic.
So, and increasing more and more people to put money into it. Look what's going on in Hayden Aram.
Yeah, sure.
Finally,
I mean,
building.
Bliss Corner was a
Right.
morass of zoning over there. It didn't make any sense because
Exactly.
it went back only like, 150 years or whatever it was.
Right. So it's
Joe Toomey was still in the committee then when he did it. Oh, sorry, Joe.
But it has opened up an awful lot to prospective business owners.
Yep.
Because of the restrictions have been lifted.
Yep.
And we need to work hand in hand.
And I think the same vetted process can go through up in the Route 6 area.
That'll happen, I'm sure.
I'm really supportive of it.
I'm excited about it because that'll be the other revenue that we think we need, excuse me, somewhere down the line.
Yep. We also met and discussed along the way at UMass Dartmouth and what the town can do as a partner there. There's a separate committee that is working on that one that was established by the select board based on one of our joint meetings from last year, and they're working there as well. And there's some great potential as to how the town can collaborate to help out and take advantage of whether it be housing or retail or some commercial development that would service the school based on what the town can do and be more proactive. And there's 10,000 kids going to school there, and it's a really active place.
And that too will happen.
Absolutely,
Over time,
yeah.
The demand is there.
No doubt.
And the demand will be greater.
Yeah.
It will happen. Yeah.
And that whole theme taps into not having to antagonize any group or resident or area of the town that really shouldn't be touched because it's just not necessary, or until we fully develop this whole area, and then we run out of that, which will take a while. But why not take advantage of it, because there's great possibilities there.
Yeah,
So
we're fortunate.
those are the kind of the visions that I've had, and I hope that we can, and we've had great support from our whole committee, finance, very active about it. And we're going to keep pushing on it. I will also add that we also are working a little bit more closely with some of the larger committees where the bigger expenditures are, departments, or that we can maybe also be a little bit more proactive in planning, as opposed to just hearing them say, here's what our budget is. We're going to meet with them on a more regular basis to say, okay, what are some of the visionary things that we should be looking at in terms of either development or non-development. We have what we call liaisons, which is an old part of the structure of finance where members would work with and go to meetings and listen to what's going on a regular basis and come back. And we're going to be more active in terms of finding out where the priorities are in those different meetings over the course of the year, and then try to bring our advisory capacity into a more active role to see in terms of looking at the big picture, in terms of what the town can afford and what we can look to down the road in terms of projects that really make sense. So that's kind of, it's been really good. Our members have embraced that as well, and we're really trying to spread our wings. Once again, understanding that our role is absolutely advisory. We can't point fingers, we can't make judgments, we can't vote up or down in terms of whether something should happen or not. We offer our advice, we offer our opinions because we have a lot of information, and I think it's who better to offer these kinds of perspectives than a group who's listened to the way we're spending our money all year long.
Right.
And that's what I think our expanded role is healthy, but understanding full well that we have a role to play, and that's what it is.
But it's actually not that expanded because I took this off the website, and the purpose of the Finance Committee is to serve as the town's official fiscal watchdog.
Yeah.
And its primary responsibility is to devise and make recommendations to town meeting on the budget and other areas with financial implications.
It's like the watchdog Willie Saltzman from the
Yeah,
Bedford.
remember him? Yeah, put all these little signs in his window. I can just see it now in Big Value Outlet. So anyway, so you're really not expanding what your responsibilities are as far as your role as a finance committee.
Yep.
So interesting. I always ask this to guests.
Yep.
What is probably one of the most interesting, I guess, maybe decisions or questions about the town or just general concerns that you've experienced within your period in the town government?
I think that I find it fascinating to be able to look at a town like ours in the growth patterns we've been in terms of all these different projects that go on, and the give and take between volunteers like myself, paid professionals like our staff, and that network that has to work in a town where we have to rely on an awful lot of volunteers, and we're a town meeting government. And until that changes, and it probably will, and it probably, not only probably, but it will change, and it should change. The question is when. I don't think the town's ready for it, but if they voted tomorrow that we want to change it, I'd say fine, because the majority rules. But I think the give and take are necessary for, in the amount of resources and time that people put into their work here in town across the board. Not just the paid professionals who are working nighttime meetings. It's amazing.
I don't think people realize
absolutely
the commitment that our town officials, paid officials,
sure,
what they have to give. There's no such a thing as a 40-hour week.
No,
believe me.
And they're there I mean, it's amazing the cooperation I personally have gotten, and I see that other people have gotten in other committees and whatever. And then you throw in the component of people who are just simply saying, I want to give back to my town, and I'm willing to do it as a volunteer. I don't even want any pay. I'm willing to do it because it's worth it. There's always, I saw that look, Stan, and I know that we could have another full hour discussion on
about
stipends. But,
yeah.
But
sorry about that. But
I think the fact that you want a $20,000 stipend is really unreasonable.
We're going to beat out New Bedford. No, that's a discussion for another.
Yes,
time.
it is.
At town meeting.
I'm all for it.
Yes,
yeah.
and it will come up.
Yes, it will. Majority rules.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Is the way it should be.
David,
Yep.
I really, you're a good friend of mine.
Yep.
We've been friends forever. I've known your parents. And,
Yep.
I feel like I'm part of your family. You and your brothers and your sister. It's just so great to see you so involved besides your work, and that's
Yep.
demanding, and I realize that, being in business also. But the time you give and your you give your whole heart into this, and it's all about the town and to better the town and to give the town whatever expertise you can offer. And I commend you for it. I thank you for it. And you've been an absolute pleasure as my first guest of 2016. Hopefully not my last.
Actually, after this show, you may have to shut down.
No, I don't think so. But I want to thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Stan.
Thank
It's
you.
a privilege to be here.
And that about does it for another program of Your Town.